This series follows love, secrets, and society as familiar faces navigate masked desires, hidden identities, and difficult choices. At its heart is a quiet romance that challenges class, expectations, and the rules of the ton. Mrs. Wilson, the head caretaker of the Bridgerton family, makes sure everything is ready for the day. Eloise and Francesca return home from Scotland with Francesca's husband, Lord John Sterling Kilmartin, after visiting the Kilmartin estate. Mrs. Wilson and a few staff members gossip about Penelope's son, Gregory, studying at Eton, and about Kate and Anthony, who are in India and expecting a child. They believe Eloise is meant to remain a spinster, while Hyacinth may soon make her debut. Violet notices that Benedict is missing. John, the groomsman, panics and tries to stop her from going to the bachelor lodgings where Benedict is sleeping with two women. Once Benedict wakes up, he is asked to take care of family duties in Anthony's absence. Violet scolds him for his reckless behavior, warning that it could harm his sister's reputation. She urges him to settle down, but he says the ladies of the ton are boring. In the end, he agrees when Violet begs him to behave like a gentleman at the first ball of the season, which she is hosting. Next, the relationship between Queen Charlotte and Penn has changed. The Queen makes it clear that Penn will remain in her favor as long as she continues writing as Lady Whistledown and providing strong gossip. The first Whistledown issue focuses on Violet's masquerade ball. The Bridgerton staff try to help Penn with gossip, but she is now more aware of how it can damage reputations, so she is careful with what she writes. In the kitchen, the staff worry and argue over the masquerade preparations. At the same time, they are intrigued by the theme, where guests will reveal their identities at midnight. The scene then shifts to the wealthy guests putting on their costumes. A young girl in a silver gown, Sophie, arrives at the ball looking nervous. The footman recognizes her, encourages her, and reminds her to leave by midnight. She struggles with proper manners when John tries to give her a dance card. Nearby, three new guests arrive: Lady Araminta Penwood, twice widowed, and her two daughters, Posy and Rosamond. Posy is sweet and naive, while Rosamond is cold and calculating. Sophie tries to avoid them, but ends up ruining a dessert, which upsets Mrs. Wilson. Violet grows anxious when Benedict is late again, having an affair with a male friend. Lady Danbury and her brother, Marcus, exchange playful banter, lifting Violet's spirits. Although Queen Charlotte was not planning to attend, she arrives to get direct gossip about the party from Penn. Tired of debutantes, she chooses to focus on eligible bachelors. Penn shares information about the men, but none are good enough to catch the Queen's interest. At that moment, a drunk Benedict walks in, and the women immediately swoon. Following Violet's wishes, he tries to mingle, but the women only want to talk about marriage. Araminta shows interest too, hoping to marry Rosamond to him for his title and name. Penn and Eloise are amused and agree not to expose him in the Whistledown issue, as they believe he will never marry. Penn notices Eloise speaking with the debutantes, and Eloise says she is tired of being hostile. She has decided to take part in society as a spinster. From a corner, Francesca and John watch the party and talk about Scotland. Francesca has been avoiding John's cousin, Michaela, and John assumes she wants privacy. He suggests they find a new home in England, which makes Francesca happy. Everyone competes for Benedict's attention, but he becomes drawn to Sophie, who is clearly amazed by the ball. He finds her refreshing and steps in when she is trying to avoid another suitor. He pretends he owes her a dance, and she plays along before admitting she cannot dance. Thinking she is joking, he offers to teach her on the terrace. However, Queen Charlotte notices how all eyes are on Benedict and decides to choose him as her champion. Eloise notices Hyacinth at the ball, even though she is not supposed to be there. She sends her back to her room, and Hyacinth is upset with her. In the hallway, Marcus runs into Violet and nearly kisses her hand before they are interrupted. Violet becomes flustered and quickly walks away. Will and Alice Mondrick try to speak to Queen Charlotte, but she ignores them and focuses on Benedict instead. She also makes it clear that she is only attending the ball for Lady Danbury. Lady Danbury then announces that she plans to hand over her hosting duties to Violet so she can return home, but Charlotte refuses to allow her to leave. On the terrace, Benedict talks about how Sophie is different from the other women. Annoyed, Sophie scolds him for looking down on women and dismissing their efforts to survive in society. She reveals that she is not interested in marriage and feels out of place. Benedict tries to joke, and Sophie realizes that he avoids talking about himself. He admits that he dislikes the attention because the women are not interested in who he truly is, which makes him feel like an imposter. The mood softens when he begins teaching Sophie how to dance. She panics after stepping on his foot and tries to clean his shoe, but he stops her and they continue dancing. They share a quiet moment when he removes her glove and leans in to kiss her. Just then, the midnight bell rings and she knows she must leave. He asks her to stay, but she kisses him and runs away. On her way out, she bumps into Araminta, who does not recognize her because of the mask. It is revealed that Sophie works as a maid for Araminta. When the women return home, Posey is the only one who is kind to Sophie. Rosamund boasts that she can easily win Benedict away from the woman in the silver mask. This upsets Sophie, and Araminta sends her away for the night. Back at the ball, once Pen removes her mask, the guests crowd around her, hoping she will write favorably about them. She tries to sway Queen Charlotte by joking that Benedict will likely be the last to marry. However, Charlotte accepts the bet. Violet is clearly upset when Eloise declares herself a spinster. Violet insists she will find Eloise a suitor, which frustrates Eloise. Later, Violet speaks with a thoughtful Benedict, who admits that he now respects the effort women put into society. Violet senses something has changed, but he does not mention Sophie. That night, Lady Whistledown writes about her wager with the Queen, noting that while it is fine to dream, one must eventually wake up. The scene ends with Sophie giving a sad smile as she hides her lone glove under the bed. Benedict sketches Sophie in her silver masquerade costume. A flashback shows what happened on the day of the ball. Rosamund loses her mask, and Sophie is forced to make a new one at the last minute. When Rosamund later finds her mask, she accuses Sophie of trying to sabotage her. Araminta behaves coldly, while Posey is the only one who stands up for Sophie. After they leave, Sophie vents her frustration to Alfie the footman and Irma, the head cook. They encourage her to attend the ball by taking a silver dress that belonged to one of the deceased Penwood sisters. To finish the outfit, they persuade her to wear the mask she was sewing and Araminta's forgotten silver shoes. In the present, Lord John shows affection toward Pen's child, while Francesca appears unhappy. Hyacinth argues that she should be allowed to debut soon, while Eloise insists she wants to be removed from the marriage market. Araminta notices a mark on her silver shoes and takes her anger out on Sophie. She orders Sophie to restitch and polish all the shoes, as she plans to push Rosamund toward Benedict. A flashback shows Lord Penwood marrying Araminta. Sophie is happy, hoping to gain a mother, but Penwood introduces her only as his ward, which clearly displeases Araminta. In the present, Sophie sulks and admits to Irma and Alfie that she shared a moment with Benedict. Queen Charlotte continues to ignore Lady Danbury's wish to leave society, and the two argue over it. Violet tries to introduce Eloise to eligible men, but Benedict interrupts. He strikes a deal with Eloise. He will pretend to be her chaperone to stop Violet's efforts, and in return, Eloise must help him find Sophie. Eloise brings Pen to Benedict, and he asks Pen to send a message through Lady Whistledown. Pen warns him that if he says he is searching for someone, every young woman in society will start chasing him. Benedict decides to go ahead anyway, but his excitement slowly fades. At event after event, he speaks to different women and finds no answers. For a moment, he thinks Rosamund might be Sophie, but he dismisses the idea when he learns about her costume. Violet also begins to suspect something and pressures Pen into admitting that Benedict is searching for a specific woman. Violet is hurt that Benedict kept this from her, but she offers to help him. He finally gives in, and Violet immediately understands. She recognizes the Penwood stitching inside the glove and points out that there are other women in the house besides Rosamund. A flashback shows Araminta canceling young Sophie's dance lessons, while Lord Penwood sees no issue with it. Sophie asks about her mother and is left with only a necklace to remember her by. She calls her father Sir. He says little but promises to take care of her. In the present, Posey and Sophie celebrate because Posey has a gentleman caller. Sophie's happiness fades when she learns it is Benedict. Alfie urges Sophie to reveal the truth, but she refuses. She insists Benedict is not looking for a maid, but for the woman in silver, who does not exist. Araminta begins to piece things together when she realizes Benedict loses interest after learning Posey did not wear a silver costume. She also notices the penwood glove in his hand. Lady Danbury refuses to attend court anymore. Queen Charlotte sulks, and Brimsley urges Danbury to make peace with her. Danbury's anger softens when he reminds her that she is Charlotte's only true friend. At the same time, Araminta confronts Sophie, and Sophie finally speaks out. It is revealed that Sophie is the illegitimate daughter of Lord Penwood and his maid, Miss Bake. Araminta claims she kept Sophie close only to protect the Penwood name, but now decides it is no longer worth the trouble. She throws Sophie out and ensures she is blacklisted from working anywhere in Mayfair. Irma and Alfie feel guilty and give Sophie some money. Posey also secretly gives Sophie a pair of diamond earrings to help her survive. At the pawn shop, however, Sophie is shocked to discover that the diamonds are fake. Lady Danbury goes to apologize to Queen Charlotte, but Charlotte tries to force her to stay. The argument worsens when Charlotte treats Danbury like a subject instead of a friend. Danbury is hurt, and Charlotte breaks down, apologizing and begging her not to leave. At the same time, Benedict and Eloise have a tense conversation. Eloise feels betrayed because they had planned to stand against society together. Benedict admits sadly that he may return to her side, as it seems no one truly wants him. That night, Benedict attends a party at Cavender's country estate, filled mostly with rakes. 3 men attempt to harass a maid, and Sophie steps in to defend her. It is revealed that Sophie has found work there. The men turn on Sophie, but Benedict intervenes and gets into a fight with Cavender. He demands an apology for Sophie, but instead, Cavender fires her. In a flashback, Lord Penwood dies, and Araminta tells Sophie that he has left her nothing. She convinces Sophie that it is better for her to remain a maid, warning her not to repeat her mother's mistakes or dream beyond her place. In the present, Sophie is upset and starts walking toward the nearest town. Benedict awkwardly offers her a ride, promising not to touch her or even look at her. He feels she seems familiar, but Sophie insists they have never met and says she is only a maid. Drop a comment below if you're excited for part 2 and forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next.